Hi everyone, my name is Ivan. I work in the database management systems industry for a long time, and I worked multiple database products over the year, two open source ones, the house in the past and currently YDB. Today's talk will be kind of similar to previous ones, but I'll focus on the use case if you want to add MCP capabilities to your existing products. So hopefully you can reuse our experience and get a better understanding what happens under the hood in these protocols. So it's supposed to be a beginner level talk, so we'll start from the very beginning, like what's MCP. So first of all, even though it's only a little over 1 year old, it kind of surpassed, for example, Python in popularity if you measure it in GitHub stars, which is an odd metric, but it relates with hype quite a lot. And basically, as you stay in this room for a while, you know that it's a way to expose your products to large language models and systems built on top of them. So let's see how it works. First of all, it's haven't appeared out of the blue. So it's kind of a generalizations of features of LLM products like web search and stuff like this. So basically, when your application talks with the model, it not just passes the prompt as is, but also provides information that, hey, like if you need extra context to answer this prompt better, you can ask me to call one of these tools. I can kind of call for you, and the model might decide that, hey, like let's run this, for example, web search tool with this search query and add this to our context, and then you'll provide a better answer. And basically, in the earlier days, these tools were baked into the app itself. And if we zoom out, MCP basically allows AI applications to kind of outsource these tools to other parties. So, and because it's a standard, it allows like this kind of providers of whatever product it is, in our case, it's database management system, to expose your data or your services to any AI tools that supports the standards. That's why it's called, other people call like it's USBC for AI applications. So now if we zoom into this kind of MCP part, it goes roughly like this. So application asks the server, hey, like what kind of tools can you provide? Gets the answer on the start. And then when the model asks to use a particular tool, this particular MCP server can handle, the application comes back to the server to say, hey, like, could you go do this for me? And the extra context returned by the MCP server is passed over to the model the same way we've seen previously. So the specification of MCP covers like two key categories of things. First of all, it covers transport layer between the AI application and the MCP server. And as we will see, it's kind of the trade-offs between these transports are quite significant. And the data layer over this transport is basically some specific form of JSON, nothing to write home about. So just the industry agreed of how exactly these kind of requests are passed between application. But what's the important part in the data layer is that the fields inside this JSON are in natural language, so like in English or any other language, that's the secret sauce that allows the large language model to understand which tool is relevant to this particular prompt and which are not. So now I'll switch over to our practical experience of how we added MCP to our existing product. And to do this, I'll give you some context about what's YDB. So I borrowed this slide from my other talk about reducing YDB, but only parts of this will be relevant for this talk, which are highlighted in yellow, but LibreOffice kind of screwed up a bit the alignment. So YDB is open source distributed SQL database management system. First of all, it's distributed, so it's normally running on a cluster and have kind of complex clients that kind of route queries across cluster intelligently. Also, it's SQL based, so SQL is like 40 or 50 years old standard. And thus there are tons of content on the internet about how to write SQL queries, and LLMs are quite good at it. And finally, we're kind of supporting many kinds of workloads. And this talk will be mostly about analytical workloads, or maybe some debugging, stuff like this. So historically, in the world before LLMs, access to database management systems were mostly about technical people, DevOps people, developers, and kind of middle gray area is analysts, because in some companies, analysts are technical, in some companies, they are not as much. So, and the goal in this adding MCP to YDB was to kind of expand the user base, to make the data in the database more accessible, to expand the audience to, first of all, not so technical analysts, to do the exploration maybe with natural language before investing too much time to build something complex. And also to non-technical people who just want a quick answer about some data they have the company without needing to bother all these kind of technical people to build a dashboard or special query for their particular question. So now I'm kind of jumping over on how it ended up looking as. So in this example, I'm sorry, not readable enough. So basically, a person is asked like, "What's the cheapest taxi ride?" And the application has this MCP server configured that has access to database directly. And to answer this question, it understands that in the database there was a table with some taxi rides, and figures out how to query the database using SQL to get the answer to this question. But what's cool about it, even though it didn't figure out it from one shot, it kind of corrects itself, trying to figure out how to do it in multiple attempts. For example, it found that there are some erroneous entries in the database that have, I think, negative price for some reason, and figured out that it's better to filter out those potentially incorrect records and provide a real cheapest ride in the dataset. So how stuff like this works under the hood? So as we discussed at the beginning, like you get the prompt from the user. Now then the application does the tool calling with LLM, saying, "Hey, like we have these tools you can call, and if it sees, for example, database-related MCP server and database-related prompt, it might figure out that it better write a SQL query to run this, to get this data the user asks for, and it gets passed all this way in the black arrows, but logically what happens is just LLMs tries to query the database directly. And the tricky part here is the transport of MCP protocol. So there are two options. So first one is HTTP based, you can see on the slide, and in this case you don't have any MCP server or your MCP server specific code running on the client side at all, and that's why like someone asked in the previous talk, like you have to authenticate directly from the client side using some tokens or something like this. To actually go to the server side and say that, hey, like that's this user is making this query, and you can't really use anything happening on the client side to route this request or to maybe get some additional information happening on the client side if it's a desktop application, stuff like this. And the other option is standard input, standard output. In this case, MCP server, even though it's called the server, it's technically running on the client side. So together with the application itself, usually it's spawned in a sub-process or something like this. And in this case, you can use whatever code being co-hosted with the application. And in our case, it allowed us to use the smart SDKs supporting various authentication methods, routing queries across the cluster of database nodes and stuff like this. without re-implementing this logic again elsewhere. Also, we went with this, ended up with this standard input standard output case because it allowed it to be a separate application you can easily install together with your AI application or chat or whatever it is. And why we chose Python? It's because it has a great ecosystem. And anyways, performance-wise, large language model is the bottleneck. So it doesn't really matter to invest into some high-performance languages here. It's often pre-installed on many systems and so on. Also, Python has a really simple SDK to build your own MCP servers. As this is literally a working example. And the QR code goes to SDKs. And also, Python comes with a tool called UX, which allows you to not only run the a tool built with Python if you haven't installed, but also it handles installation automatically just providing the tool name. So in our case, it's YDB MCP. And it not only runs it, but also if you didn't have it installed, it installs it for you, which is really convenient. Basically, you put JSON, which is pretty common for many tools supporting MCP, in configuration of your application, and the rest is handled for you. Really handy for installation purposes. So if you want to add MCP capability to your application, like design it in a way depending on whether you want to run your code, your code running on the client or not. If you end up like we did with standard input, standard output protocol and run code on the client, it doesn't really make much sense to do asynchronous code in this case. And we did it, and it was kind of a mistake because the code ended up being too complicated, even though there are no concurrent users if you run the MCP server locally. Also, there are many implementations for MCP servers, and any AI-powered IDE can build a prototype for you, but usually it's not enough for production use. And for testing purposes, you want to have a real LLM involved only for end-to-end testing. But for like integration tests and unit tests, you just assume that LLM doesn't exist and runs the test on the fixed mocks or tests. So that's it. If you have any question, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn using the left QR code.